Good morning. Welcome. Sunday, August 23rd. How's it going? My name is Angela, front-end developer, software engineer in St. Paul, Minnesota. You probably already know that unless you're new here, in which case, welcome. Let's just get this right out of the way because I always forget until the very end. Would you be so kind as to like this video, subscribe if you're new here. Liking the video helps get this pushed out to more people who might be interested in this type of thing. Helps the algorithm. Subscribe if you haven't already. I'm here every Saturday and Sunday at 10:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. Except for this weekend, I was late 2 days in a row. So sorry about that. Yeah, liking and subscribing are the two best ways that you can help support the channel and help me grow. And I would appreciate it oh so much. So what are we doing this weekend? This is like our Express server API weekend. We had a great day yesterday. We actually set up a local Express server and we built our own Instagram API. And I've been saying that this is something I want to do for 2 years. I mistakenly believed that you had to have a production URL / app website, whatever, as a callback URL in Meta Developer in order to be able to pull data from my Instagram account. And that is not the case. You only need a production callback URL if you are setting up OAuth and you are using like a Meta account to authenticate something, right? No. I mistakenly believed that for 2 years, which is one of the reasons why I procrastinated and dragged my feet for such a long time to actually set this up. My vision all along has always been set up an Express server, deploy it, and have a place where anytime I decide that I want to use a third-party API with the authentication token or an API key, whatever you want to call it, I have a place where I can tuck that away, not expose it, build a custom endpoint, a custom API feed so I can exclude things in whatever API I'm getting. I can exclude things that I don't need. I can add course policies, rate limiting, things like that. And that's exactly what we did yesterday. So this little Express server that we are going to deploy today, the URL is going to be api.practicelayouts.com. And anytime moving forward that we have a third-party API that we want to use for one of our little static builds, that's where we're going to put it. We're going to have, so now we're going to start having Express API days and deployment days. Whoa. It's going to be so fun. And honestly, my Express skills need some work. Yeah, so this is the perfect place to do it. It's absolutely the perfect place to do it. So, yeah, now we also need to set up a GitHub action today. So we are going to deploy, a Node app to DigitalOcean. We are going to set up the DNS for practicelayouts.com. So we have that subdomain. We're going to install Let's Encrypt, which is an open source SSL certificate. So it's HTTPS. And we really need to set up a GitHub action. Now, I have some decent documentation on DevOps and deployment. Would you be shocked to find out that after we did, I checked the date, it was July 3rd, we did a stream to set up a GitHub action, which I had never set up before. And I know that I made like a mental note to write documentation for that. Would you be shocked to find out that I did not do that? So that's a problem. So I have like the GitHub action that we used back on July 3rd, but that's a different deployment. That's a LAMP stack. That's Linux, Apache, MySQL, PHP. This is going to be a little different. So it'll be Linux, it will be an Ubuntu server, it'll be Nginx, and it'll be Node. So the setup is a little bit different, but not wildly different. Nginx and Apache are obviously different, but structurally, because it's Linux, because it's Ubuntu, structurally there are a lot of similarities, but it's still a little bit different. So now, something that I do now that I wasn't doing back on July 3rd is the transcripts. So I now have this transcript of every live stream. every live stream. So as soon as I get done today, the first thing I do is I have Mac Whisper transcribe the stream, and I have Codex read the transcript, give me 10 suggestions for titles, write a detailed description, and make chapter markers. That's why I can get that information up and onto the replay so quickly. It will also read the transcript and interpret so when I say, okay, next time we're going to do XYZ, it will give me title suggestions for the next stream, and it will write a description for the next stream. It's really amazing. So what I think I'll have Codex do is I'll write a prompt saying, read the transcript, but also here's my DevOps repo where I have all of my documentation. Help me, first of all, update anything that could be updated that currently exists in the repo, and help me write documentation for a GitHub action for both a LAMP stack and a node server. And let's write a separate set of documentation for node, because everything that we have now is for a LAMP stack. So this is the beauty of transcribing the live streams and having Codex as a tool to help me write detailed documentation, because here's the reason why it doesn't get done. Because I have to do all the work. It's a lot of work. And I just don't have time. I don't have time for a lot of this. I would say documentation, and I'm sure that most developers, I'm absolutely sure that most developers it's the same. Our downfall is documentation, and it's one of the most important things. So if you are tuning in and you're getting to know me and you're like, good Lord, why is this woman doing everything from scratch by hand? I'm not. I enjoy the coding part and doing that part from scratch and by hand. I absolutely take full advantage of AI in helping me stay organized and do documentation. Hands down, for me, that is the most useful part. So if it can make that part go, that part alone makes the entire process go so much faster and so much smoother, and it's so much more accurate. And then that gives me the time to do the hand coding. Right here. Yeah. What do you guys think? We have a couple people in the chat. Let's see what's shaking. Give me a minute here while I set up the chat. I don't know how long this is going to take today. Listen. Are you listening? You're not going anywhere till we're done. Don't even think about it. Don't even think about it. We're not going anywhere until this is done. Deployed. SSL certificate. Where are we here? GitHub action. We're not going anywhere till it's done. So settle in. Got it? Michael is here 2 days in a row. Michael is first in the chat. Welcome. Gogo Elmo, Malik Robinson, and Monique Robinson are both mods in the chat. Welcome. Thank you so much for being here. They keep an eye on all of us. They're keeping an eye on you, and they're keeping an eye on me. So, and then Rudrob, I hope I'm saying that correctly. I am confused about one question, like whether to take notes for coding or just code. Okay, let me think about this question. I am confused about one question, like whether to take notes for coding or just code. Okay, just code. Just code. Well, you need to do both. You definitely need to do both. I mean, I have many files of like code snippets and notes and things that I don't want to forget, and that is invaluable to me. I I can show you. I'll show you guys. I don't refer to it as often as I used to, but let me show you. I really started having to do this when I started setting up. Hang on one second. I need to make sure that there isn't anything in here that I don't want you to see. Okay. So when I really started setting up servers and really started learning the command line and more about Apache and Linux and things like that, hang on, I'm making sure that there isn't anything here that I don't want you to see. I don't think so. Okay, I think we're okay. When I started setting up servers, that was where I really had to start taking notes because I just couldn't remember everything. So my notes look a lot like this, where I'm just like, wait, how do you change SSH permissions on a server again? Or how to create a new sudo enabled user on Ubuntu? How to disable root login on Ubuntu? Check the logs to see, looking for network traffic. This is for WP CLI and sudo user. Maybe I need to learn how to fix the sudo user. This is for a WordPress plugin called Really Simple SSL. This must have been something that I was trying to do. Oh, this is where I needed to make some change to the php.ini. This is, I had a client website where I was trying to block an IP address and I was experimenting with that. You know, so this is just examples of like, hey, so for a long time, I would use phpMyAdmin when I worked on WordPress sites because it's just I don't want to say really friendly, but a somewhat user-friendly user interface for managing a MySQL server. And I was always getting these deprecation notices, even with updated versions. And this was back on PHP 7. So I had to do this all the time. And I found this in a Stack Overflow article. And what eventually I started doing is I stopped using PHPMyAdmin and I committed myself to being more comfortable doing MySQL on the terminal, just on the terminal. I almost said prompting, just running MySQL commands on the terminal and getting comfortable with importing and exporting and looking up tables and changing table values or cell values if I needed to. Yeah, a lot of this is old. So my whole point in showing you this is look at this file. This is just notes. Every time I learned something new and I knew that I probably wasn't going to remember it, I just always had a file open where I was taking notes. This is when I learned Git. I'm absolutely sure that I did like what's it called? What's one of the free, it's not Free Code Camp, it's Code something. It's the free version of some online coding thing where I did a Git class and I just took notes. I should probably refer to this once in a while. Or this is another good one for Linux. Apparently this is where I got this. When I was learning Linux and I needed to just keep notes. So I don't know. And Rudra is saying my specific question or problem is like when I try to take notes, I just write everything word by word, like history of any programming language syntax, even if I know it. Okay, so you're struggling. So here's what I think is happening. Ooh, do you want me to psychoanalyze you? Here's what might be happening. Is this something that we call procrastination? What's stopping you from just writing the code? Because writing the code is the easiest way to learn all of this. You just need to write the code. So my advice to you is just start writing code. Have a blank tab open where you can take notes if you need to, but also if you're writing code, don't be afraid to take notes and put it in the code. Just add notes or put in comments in your code. There's that too. So the answer is always going to be just code, but obviously note taking is important. I've done a lot of note taking, but I don't write word for word the history of programming. I definitely do that. My notes are very code snippet oriented. Like a lot of this Linux and Apache stuff, server setup stuff. Did I show you anything that is HTML or CSS related in here? No, because I'm pretty good at retaining that information. Why? Why do you think it is that I'm good at retaining that information? I'll wait. Go ahead, put it in the chat. Anybody in the chat, you tell me, why do you think I don't have notes for anything related to HTML and CSS? Why? What do you think that I do that I don't need to do notes for that? I'll wait. I'll wait. I know. Okay. You're welcome. I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait. Somebody in the chat's going to answer the question. I desperately want somebody in the chat to answer this question. I don't know how long it's going to take. How many people are even watching right now? 8. There's 8 of you here. Come on. Okay, Malik says record. Abdullah says it's easily readable. I think you're referring to the readability of my notes. But why do you think that I don't need to take notes for HTML and CSS? Why is it that you think that I am able to, why do you think I'm able to retain that information so I don't need to take notes? Based on your experience as a developer, as somebody who writes code, you build projects, doesn't matter what the programming language is, doesn't need to be HTML or CSS. Think of the programming language that you are most comfortable with, that you generally do not need to write notes for. Why do you not need notes? Why do you retain that information? Somebody's going to answer the question. Come on, people. There's 10 of you here. There's 10 of you here. There's somebody who's going to answer this question. I really feel like I have to take a stand and wait for somebody to answer this question. Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Yes. Malik Robinson and Abdullah, you both did it. Thank you. Malik says because you practice it, and Abdullah says because you use it every day. Practice. So listen, I am not here to say that you don't need to take notes just because you practice. But what I am saying, of course you can take notes. You should write down anything that you feel like you need, because note-taking in and of itself, just the act of writing it down, is an exercise in learning. I'll say that again. The act of note-taking in and of itself is an exercise in learning, because what does that force you to do? It forces you to, the act of writing it down forces you to write it down and comprehend it kind of at the same time, right? But the real learning, the real way that you retain information is through practice. There's a reason why we call them programming languages. How do you learn a new language? You have to use it. I took Spanish all through high school. You know what I can remember how to do? I can remember to ask how to go to the bathroom. That's it, because that was the one thing that I practiced. And I'm not going to repeat it because I'm sure I would jumble it up and embarrass myself. But that my point is, I can't speak Spanish because I didn't practice it. I didn't continue to practice. You retain information for the things that you practice and that you use every day. I don't need to take notes. It doesn't mean I don't remember everything or that I don't occasionally still need to look things up. But I know how to do those things really, really well because I practice them so often. And it's a great example of how I could probably be a much, much better JavaScript developer if I was practicing more. I go through these waves where I'm practicing my JavaScript every single day, and then I get busy and I don't touch it for a month. And then I'm like, oh my God, what do? I don't remember how to do anything. So there we go. All right, well, thank you. I've just really felt like I had to prove this point. So, um, poor Rudrub, I hope I'm saying that correctly. You just wanted me to give you a straightforward answer, and this is what you got instead. So, welcome to my live stream. Okay, are we ready? So, I have Hover open. By the way, there are referral links down in the description. If you use my link, you can get a discount if you buy a domain name from Hover. I also get a commission. I also have a referral link for DigitalOcean. I've been using DigitalOcean for over 10 years. I love them. They're a great cloud service company. I really enjoy using their products. I have a referral link for them in the description as well. I think you'll get something like the first 2 months free if you use my link. Again, I do get a small commission, so I will let you decide if you would like to use those. But those are literally the only two things that I really recommend because I personally use them. So first we need to add an A record to practicelayouts.com, and you can see here that we have lots of subdomains already on this domain because this is a really great way to do things with this. So we're going to do an A record. The host name is, I think we're just going to do API, right? The IP address, we need to get our IP address even though we have it there. I'm going to practice layouts. I'm going to copy our IP address. The TTL is 15 minutes. That's fine. Let's let this start percolating. My experience is that these, what's the word I'm looking for? What's the word I'm looking for? It's not percolate. That's why I said that. Resolve. I don't know, whatever. These percolate through the system pretty quickly in my experience, but technically it can take about 24 hours. I mean, that's technically, I'm in a big metro area, so those things tend to resolve pretty quickly for me. So, oh, and Emilio is here. Welcome, Emilio. Thank you for coming to hang out. Rudreb, you had a message in the chat, but you deleted it. So go ahead and put it back in. It's okay. Let's go to networking. Now we're going to add our domain. And yeah, so it's going to be API dot practice layouts.com, and the project is practice layouts. Okay, you need to update your name servers. No, you don't. I don't use the DigitalOcean name servers. I just change the A record and I point the subdomain at the IP address. So I am not using the name servers for DigitalOcean. Email before name servers. After you point your registrar to DigitalOcean name servers, DigitalOcean becomes authoritative for DNS. So, and we're not using names. We're not using the name servers. We're not setting up email. So we can dismiss both of those. And we have to create our droplet in order to get our IP specifically for this subdomain. So hang on, wait a second. I have to think about this. You know what? I did this backwards because we have to set up a new droplet. So this is not going to work. Gosh darn it, Angela. Oh, Rudrup says, you are actually right. My brain sometimes went into procrastination instead of just practicing it. Hey, happens to the best of us. Okay, you guys, I already made a mistake because I was thinking we have to set up a new droplet. We cannot deploy this on the same server. So, okay, that's okay. We're going to come back to this. And we're going to come back to this. Gosh darn it, Angela. We have to set up a new droplet. This is a LAMP stack, and we have to set up, I'm so sorry, we have to set up our node droplet. So let's do that. We're going to come back to this. Guess who hasn't been practicing? Okay, so we're going to create a droplet. I think it would also be reasonable to create an app, which is like their managed app platform. We're going to do a droplet and we're going to roll our own. So choose a data center region. They know that I live in the Midwest, so I think they're suggesting New York or San Francisco. I'm just going to choose New York Data Center 1. That is absolutely fine. I want to go to Solutions, and I'm going to type in Node, and we're just going to choose a good old Node app. We do not need a database. We do not need a premium Intel or premium AMD disk. We're just going to do a regular disk. And I'm going to do the $6, which is 1 CPU, 1 gig of RAM, 25 gigs of SSD space, and 1,000 gigs of transfer space. I don't know in what universe I would need more than this for what I'm doing. I could see maybe eventually we bump it up to the $12 a month, but I think for what we're doing, this is going to be perfectly fine. $6. Add additional storage, no. Enable automated backups. If this was a client project, then I would absolutely enable automated backups. They're not expensive. They're $1.20 a month. $1.80 a month for daily backups. Each backup is kept for 7 days. I would do this if this was a client site. It's not a client site, and I already have a local copy and a copy in Git, so this is like more than redundant. So I am not going to enable backups. We are not going to do password, and in fact, we are going to disable the root password. And we are going to use our practice layouts SSH key. So I already have SSH keys here loaded up on the server, and we are just going to use one of those. If you need to add an SSH key, click this button. It'll walk you through the steps to do that. I'm going to do public IPv4. I don't think we need IPv6. Monitoring, improved metrics and monitoring, free, sure. This is interesting. I just noticed this morning when I was looking this over. Startup scripts, where you can enter some scripts here. I think this is pretty cool. I don't have any startup scripts. I didn't prepare anything like that, so we're not going to worry about that. And then I only need one droplet. I'm going to call this Express server is going to be our droplet name. Yeah, the project is, we're going to include it in our practice layouts project. No, I do not have a tag. Let's go ahead and create our droplet. Okay, so now this is going to give us our IP address, and we will have to go back to hover and update that. And you know what, though? That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Okay, so what's going on here? I'm gonna say we can close this. There's a little, they've updated their UI. DigitalOcean has. Okay. Here is our public IPv4. So I'm going to copy this. We'll go back to hover and we need to edit this. That was my mistake. Okay, so now this is our new IP address. And then let's go back to, now that we have our IP address, we can go back to domains and finish this. We added our domain, but we haven't pointed this to anything yet. So we'll go to manage domain, create a record. We're going to create an A record. Oops. So it's technically the root because api.practicelayouts.com is the root domain. I do this every single time I try to type in the subdomain. Will direct to. So now we have to actually point this to the server, the Express server that we just set up with this IP address, TTL 3600, which is, what's 3600? Is that 15 minutes? It doesn't matter. It'll take us longer than 15 minutes anyways. So now we have our A record updated, created on Hover, which is the domain registrar. And now we have added this domain and pointed it towards the droplet that we just created. So we're going to let all of this happen in the background. And now we are going to actually go and set up the server. And this is, I mean, I'm pretty comfortable with Linux servers, Ubuntu. I've done a teeny tiny little bit of noodling around on Nginx. I think, am I saying that correctly? I think I have. I think I am. But we're gonna be ChatGPT is gonna talk us through it today because that's what he's here for. That's his job. That's why I pay him $20 a month. So he can be here helping with that. So, and I was sort of conversing with GPT yesterday evening about, because I just had questions. I was like, I don't get it. So it's the same structure, var, dub, express server, kind of the same structure. So let's find our DevOps. Let's find our DevOps. Oh, hang on. I already have it pulled up. Tis right here. Tis right here. So I'm going to be looking at a setup for a LAMP stack, but it's similar. It is similar. So anything that looks different or is different, we're just going to ask for help because that's what you do. So this is not a LAMP stack. We've already pointed our domain. Let's go ahead and log in as the root user. The first thing that we're going to do is update and upgrade the server. We are going to check what's installed. So in this case, it's going to be Node. We're going to check and make sure that the latest version of Node is installed. We don't need to do anything with MySQL. I think we do need to check the firewall. I think UFW, what is this? Uncomplicated firewall. And then we're going to create a sudo user, disable root, things like that. So basic setup stuff for Linux. Where is our IP address again? Let's go back to our projects. Right here. So I'm going to say SSH root at, yes, add this to the known hosts. Okay. This is like the welcome screen when you log in. And we definitely need to do updates because this is a snapshot. Welcome to DigitalOcean's one-click node droplet. To keep this droplet secure, okay, good, UFW is installed. Excellent. All ports are blocked except port 22, port 80, and port 443. So we will be, just like we edited the Apache virtual host files for port 80 and port 443, we will also be editing. Oh, look at this. I just exposed the password. Wonderful. Please don't, if you're watching this right now, please disregard that. Oh, we're gonna disable this anyways. So we're gonna disable this user. So don't even try it, okay? We're gonna edit the port 80 and the port 443 Nginx configuration files. We have to in order to get those things set up for SSL and things like that. I mean, we don't have to do a ton, but we have to we have to do some things. So use these FTP credentials to upload files with FileZilla, WinSCP, or rsync. So we're going to create a sudo user. I mean, we're going to delete Node.js as a user. So, some JKiv says good day and just put a little angel emoji in the chat, promising not to exploit this. You know what? It's okay. I know some things are going to get exposed in a live stream. I've accepted that. I have a small audience, but also, like yesterday, I think I accidentally showed the token for Instagram. I just immediately deleted it and created a new one after the stream. Easy peasy. None of this is client work. None of this is work for an employer. It's part of the learning process. I've accepted the risk of showing things to an audience for the sake of learning and education. And we just deal with things as they come. You're not going to ruin anything. You're not going to ruin anything. So I'm not worried about you all at all. On the server, the node application is served from, see now, var www HTML. ChatGPT was telling me not to put it in HTML, was telling me to put it in a different directory. Why? Why? I don't know why. Okay, and then it says down here at the bottom to delete this message of the day, remove. So I am going to remove the message of the day. But I just want to ask ChatGPT really quickly why. Stop it. Sorry about that. So I don't need to see the message of the day. So that's going to be removed now the next time we start it. It's going to take like, hang on. I'm going to take a screenshot of this and we will ask ChatGPT. But for now, we can do this right here. So we're going to do apt update and apt upgrade with the yes flag and just have everything updates. And then while this is working, let's go over here. So here's the screenshot we just took. Okay, I'm streaming now. Hang on one second here. Please don't give away any of my secrets. Whoops. Secrets while I'm live. DigitalOcean says to deploy in var www HTML, but you said not to. Why? Also, we need to delete the Node.js user because that was shown in the live stream, but all 9 people watching have assured me they will be on their best behavior. Okay. Okay, on this specific DigitalOcean one-click node droplet, I would use this path. Okay, DigitalOcean has already configured this image around that location. My earlier suggestion was generic Linux node organization. It wasn't wrong, but there's no benefit to fighting the conventions of the one-click image you chose. Your screenshot explicitly says the node application is served from HTML, so that's where I deploy it. Yeah, I get into trouble when I make changes, especially on a one-click install, because if you just spun up an Ubuntu server and installed Node yourself, you could make some of those decisions. But what I have learned from some of the one-click installs, this is mostly in WordPress, there are so many things configured to whatever path is part of that one-click install, just go with it. They're just there to make your life easier, some of those configuration settings. Otherwise, why would you do a one-click install if you weren't going to take advantage? Like, just learn from me, learn from my mistakes. So, and yes, the credentials shown on stream needs attention now. I would not delete the pre-created account yet because DigitalOcean may have configured ownership, deployment, access, or services around it. First, rotate or disable the exposed password. Since you're already root, immediately change its password. Okay, so password Node.js, use a completely new random password and do not show the terminal while entering or managing it on stream. Okay, so here's what I'm gonna do. Let me fix this. It's okay. We got this. We got this. So I need to generate a new password first. Hang on. Let me do that. Good old ChatGPT creating urgency for us. Am I right? Am I right or am I right? Okay. Um, okay. Okay. And actually, I needed to do this anyways. Express server Node.js. Okay. And I have it down on the screen, so there's no chance that I can expose it. Okay. So I have created a new password for the Node.js user because apparently that is important. And honestly, before we do the GitHub action, to be able to just open up FileZilla and deploy our files for the first time, that's going to make that a lot easier. So, okay, so two things happened here. We updated the password and we updated the server. So now we need to reboot. I put here in my, yeah, no, I didn't expose it this time. Rudra, thank you. Yes, thank you for the thumbs up. I appreciate that. I did not expose it this time. I didn't know I was going to expose it the first time. So note to self, maybe, I don't know, it's fine. We're good. It's not the end. It's not, listen, it's not the end of the world. We're moving on. We got it changed. Okay. So we need to reboot the server because we just did these updates. So let's go ahead and do that. We're having so much fun. Okay, so let's let this reboot. Give me one moment, please. Let's see here. And some JKiv says, I've exposed worst on stream in the past, stuff I can't easily change, let's say. Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to go through a super detailed list of things I've exposed on stream. If exposing a password, let's just say, is the least of my problems. I've exposed, I won't go into too much detail. I will give you some broad strokes, but I have exposed conversations with ChatGPT that I would not want anybody else to ever see. And those things are no longer exposed because I went into YouTube Studio and like blurred them out. But it was very stressful in the moment. I've done it a couple of times. I mean, I wouldn't say a handful of times. I would say like 3 or 4 times that I could think of. I've exposed conversations with ChatGPT. And like I said, I'm very fortunate that I don't have a huge audience. If anybody noticed, nobody said anything. I didn't react. I just kept moving forward. And then I made sure that as soon as that video was processed, I went into YouTube Studio and blurred it out. So it's not there anymore. And I've learned that when I know something is going to be exposed, I just do this. And then sometimes things get exposed anyways. And if it's a password, compared to what I've shown on stream, that is the least of my problems. Emilio says, honestly, I type my passwords in without a second thought for everyone to see and then freak out. Yeah. So it happens. It's not the end of the world. And also, this is why you should not be streaming your client work or your work for your employer. Those things, I have a hard and fast rule that I don't do any client work or work for any employer contractor. I'm in self-employed now on stream. Everything is a personal project just for the channel. So if a password gets exposed, it's only for the project related to the channel. It doesn't compromise any of my client work. It doesn't compromise my own personal website. It doesn't compromise any of those things. So at least I have enough brains to figure that out, to like not expose client work. Emilio says he's gonna lurk. Gotta go finish writing 2 chapters today. Be right back. Excited to see this project completed. Thank you. Okay, back to it. I know I'm talking a lot. Okay, so now let's go ahead and log back in and we should see everything updated. There we go. Love it. Love it, love it. This is exactly what we want to see every time we log in. Good. What else do we got here? So let's check and see what's installed. So obviously Node. And we're on the latest stable version of Node. How do we know that? Because we installed this locally yesterday when we set up our Express server. So yay us. And then I don't think there's anything else that we need to do. That's like literally the only thing that we needed to check and make sure of. This is just some notes for the Nano text editor. I prefer using Nano when I'm editing files. We don't need to do anything with MySQL. Check the firewall. So we'll do UFW status. And then this is what I expect to see returned. And this looks right. This looks good. Except it's Nginx, not Apache, but still, it looks good. If UFW is inactive, you could use these. So now we are going to create our non-root sudo user. And I'm just going to use these from the last time we did this. So it'll just be me. It'll be myself. So add user. I don't think this is Apache specific. This is Linux. Add user Angela. And then I'm just going to enter past these questions. Yes. Okay. And then we want to make sure that we are adding the new user to the sudo group. So user modify, I'm pretty sure that's what mod means. So we'll go ahead and do this. And then we want to copy root's authorized key. That's the SSH key that was already on DigitalOcean that we selected that allows us to SSH in. We are copying the root's authorized key to the new user so you can SSH without passwords. So we are going to make a directory for the new user Angela called .ssh. And then we are going to make a copy the keys from the root. So we'll make a copy. And then change the ownership and the read, write, execute permissions for that group. So we're changing the ownership to the owner Angela, the group Angela. And then we are changing the read, write, execute permissions to the directory to 700 and to the authorized key files to 600. You could probably do these all at once. I do them one at a time because I just like it. Okay. So now we are going to disable the root login with SSH. So now we need to nano, this is the text editor. We're going to go to etc ssh, and this is the sshd config file. So we're going to nano into this file. And we are looking for two things. We're looking for permit root login. We're going to change this to no. And password authentication. We're going to change that to no. So we just kind of need to permit root login right here. So we're going to change that to no. Now we're looking for password authentication. Right here. It's commented out. So we are going to uncomment it. And we're going to change this to no. And then I Control X, yes, enter to save the file. Now we're going to reconnect as the new user. So I'm going to type exit. Connection is closed. Clear the terminal. So I'm going to SSH at, no, wait, Angela at, and you know what? Let's check and see if our api.practicelayouts.com has percolated through the system. So we'll find out api.practicelayouts.com. You can either use the IP address or you can use the domain name. So this is asking to use it. You have a file in your local, on your computer in a directory called SSH called known hosts. And it's asking if you want to add it to that file, and you want to say yes. Okay, so now we know that our domain name has, it's not, what's the resolved? What's the word? Why can't I think of the word? Resolved. Once you set up the what is it that the domain does? Why can't I remember the word? It has resolved to the server. So here we go. So now we have disabled root access. We have disabled logging in with root or with the password. We have our SSH key set up. We have our sudo user set up. Our domain name is pointing to the server, pointing to the IP address. You guys, we're like halfway there. We're doing amazing. So let's go ahead and clear. So now let's go ahead and CD into the www, and you could see there's our HTML. So we'll CD into the HTML, and we'll take a look here at what's in there. And here are the assets in here. So if we go to api.practicelayouts.com and then look at this, what are we going to see? Should we check? We know that the URL is all set up. So it's HTTP because we don't have SSH or SSH key, SSL certificate installed. So it's going to be api.practicelayouts.com / whatever this is. Look at, it's working. We have a working node server. Look at this. So this is giving us actually some really good information. Look at this. Things to do with this script. Okay. This message is coming to you via a simple Node.js application that's live on your droplet. This droplet is all set up with Node. And then we need this PM2 for process management and Nginx. Run all PM2 commands using the Node.js user. Oh, interesting. So should we have logged in as the Node.js user? Or a second instance of PM2 will start. The login and password are stored in the node user values you see when you call cat DigitalOcean passwords while logged in over SSH. Okay, this app is running at port 3000 and is being served to you by Nginx, which has mapped port 3000. So should we be using the Node.js user and not the sudo user? Okay. Get your code on here. SSH into your droplet and git clone your Node.js code onto the droplet anywhere you like. Note, if you're not using a source control, you can directly upload files. But why would you git clone? Because then aren't all your Git credentials going to be on the droplet as well? I don't understand that. But it says here I asked ChatGPT the same question last night. It doesn't make sense to me. CD into the directory where your Node.js code lives and install any dependencies. For example, okay, so we need to ask about this. I don't understand. Should I not? Okay. New password in place. I also disabled root access and logging in with a password. Should I have not? Wait, should I have not disabled logging in with a password? Oh, wait. Should I hit enter too. Oh, wait. Okay. If you mean, should I have disabled root password login already? Yes, that's fine, but only if you've confirmed another SSH user can get in with a key and sudo. Yes. Yes. I hit return too soon. I created a sudo user and can log in with SSH as the sudo user. Perfect. Then you're in the right state. Direct root SSH disabled, password SSH disabled. A separate sudo capable user can log in with an SSH key. The exposed pre-created password has been rotated. That's exactly where I'd want the droplet before continuing. One thing I do before closing the existing root session, is test the sudo user in a second terminal and confirm a privileged command works. Since you said you can already SSH in as that user, just verify something like this. Okay, well, that ship sailed. So let's see here. We're learning together, everyone. We're learning together. We're doing it together. So let's take a picture of this. Perfect. That confirms the sudo user is working and can run privileged commands, and Nginx itself is currently valid. You're safe to proceed using that account for the rest of the setup. I would keep the existing root session open until you're completely done with today's server setup, just as a fallback, but you no longer need to actively work as root. That ship has sailed. Fair. Since you've already closed the root session, the important part is that you verified the sudo account can log in and run privileged commands. That's what matters. You're not in a bad state, just continue. Okay, so I don't need the Node.js user after all. That's what I'm probably not. If your own sudo capable user can SSH in with a key, run sudo, own or manage the app files, run PM2 under your account, then the pre-created Node.js user is not necessary for your deployment workflow. Honestly, I would rather create my own sudo user. I just would. So, because that's what I'm used to doing. Okay, so let's get our files on the server. We've got more setup to do. We're just going to, okay, and again, it's telling us to git clone. Even DigitalOcean is saying git clone, but I don't understand why you would do that. I have to ask these questions. Things just need to make sense to me. Even DigitalOcean says to git clone. It doesn't make any sense to me. I feel like I'm not supposed to have Git on a prod server. I just don't understand that. Your instinct is valid. You do not have to keep Git on production, and many teams intentionally don't. DigitalOcean's docs are showing the simplest deployment path, not the only or necessarily best production pattern. That is convenient because the droplet becomes a working copy of the repo and updates are just git pull. But the cleaner production model you're thinking of is repo action production files only with no .git directory on the server. See, both are legitimate. The difference is mostly operational philosophy. So listen, when I first started streaming, I was r-syncing all of my files to DigitalOcean, and I remember getting maybe one I remember for sure, possibly two emails in those first few months of streaming where somebody watched the stream and was emailed me and was like, hey, all your Git credentials are on your server. I don't know if you realize that. And they were right. I was just r-syncing the entire directory up to Git, or excuse me, up to DigitalOcean, and I wasn't excluding the things that I know don't need to be on a production server. And I feel like I go out of my way to point that out to people when I do rsync or when I do use FileZilla or anything like that. I go out of my way to tell people only put things on the production server that you absolutely need to run the site. And that includes excluding .git. So we're going to use FileZilla and we're only going to deploy what we know that we need. And FileZilla is not going to be the normal deployment process for this. It is going to be just the initial way that we get things onto the server. So let me do this quickly where, oh, and I think that this is also SSH, so I can show you this. It's a little bit small. I cannot zoom in, so I apologize for that. So we're going to go to this. We're going to do new site, which is API practice layouts. We'll do SFTP. The host is the IP. Well, no, the host is, I think we can just use api.practicelayouts.com. It could be the URL or it can be the IP address. Either is perfectly fine, but we know that our URL is resolving to the droplet. We're going to do a key file. The user is Angela. Okay, this is the part. You'll see the path, but it's not the end of the world. So this is the path to the SSH key. I think that's the right one. Time will tell. Yes, we're going to add this to the known host file. Okay. And we are in the Angela directory for this particular server. So we're going to go back out. Here's that Node.js user. And we're going to go do var www HTML. I'm going to say that we don't need any of this. Oh, it wouldn't let me delete it. Why? Oh, because the owner and the group are Node.js. That's why. So we have to change the owner and the group right here. So root owns everything right up until HTML. You see here where it says the owner and the group is Node.js. So we need to change that to Angela, yours truly. So let's figure out how to do that. Right here. Right here. www data is Apache. So we actually need to do this again. It's going to be Angela. So let's do this. Just like that. Now if we refresh, owner group Angela. It should have been, was that not recursive? No, of course not. So we'll put a little slash at the end there and do it again. Now we'll refresh. There we go. So now you can see that I, as the person logged in, I am the owner of that group. So now I can delete these files. And these are just the DigitalOcean setup files. So now let's find our server right here, Express server. So again, we only want to deploy what we know we absolutely need. So not Git. We want middleware. Node modules will get installed when we run like the init, right? So middleware, routes, services. We are deploying our .env file because we have that does not get version controlled. And we need our index.js, our package lock, and our package.json. So we are not deploying the .git or the .git ignore. We are not deploying node modules. We need our .env file on the server. So okay. We will be setting up a GitHub action for deployment, but you know, I don't think it hurts to have like FileZilla in your back pocket if you need to get into a server and do something quickly, right? So now our files are all deployed. And we're done with that. Nice. Okay, so now we need to, I think we just log in on the terminal and do npm install, and then we have to make sure that we install this PM2, which is what keeps Express running. We don't have it locally, we just install it once it's on the server. So I think first we're just going to do npm install. For your setup, especially because you already want GitHub Actions, I would stick with no git. The action can deploy the application files, then run npm install. So this is what we're going to do. Okay. So now we need to cd into our here's our files, and we're going to do npm install. This is exciting. Okay, look at that. So let's give a little update to ChatGPT. Yay. One moment, please. Okay, you're ready for the next step. Start the app with PM2 and confirm it responds locally on the droplet before we touch that. Great. Please tell me what to do. Okay. Well, I don't have PM2 I don't think PM2 is installed. So wait a second. npm install PM2 first. Yes. Okay. So we're going to install PM2 first. So sudo npm install global PM2. All right. We'll clear, and then we're going to do PM2 version to make sure it's installed. That looks promising. All right. And then after that, we're going to start PM2 start index.js name express server. All right, that looks pretty cool. That looks good. And then PM2 list. Is that, did we already get our list? Yeah, that was the list. All right. Got it. Then start the app with it. Okay. Which is this right here. Nope, we just did that. Yeah, we started it. Then check that PM2 sees it. Yep. Next, test the app from the server itself. Hang on. Yeah, I don't think that this is it. This is like the little Sammy the Shark thing. Here. It printed the DigitalOcean index.html page, but I deleted that. Okay, that tells us exactly what's happening. The DigitalOcean demo node app is still running on port 3000 under PM2. Deleting its index.html files doesn't stop the running process. Run PM2 list. You'll probably see something named hello or similar. I don't think I saw that. No, I just see the Express server. Well, it's probably still just running, right? If the name is different, use whatever name appears in the PM2 list, then start yours. I think we have to your Express server is in a restart loop. Okay, the DigitalOcean demo app is almost certainly still running under the Node.js user's separate PM2 instance and already owns port 3000. Your PM2 list only shows the PM2 processes belonging to your user. First, stop your app so it quits looping. Then see exactly what owns port 3000. God bless ChatGPT for letting us know what to do, right? Okay, stopped. Got it. Then see exactly what owns port 3000. Take a picture of this. And check DigitalOcean's PM2 instance. Ah, here it is. This is the Node.js. Okay. I expect you'll see their hello app there. If you do, remove it from that user's PM2 instance. So I don't think we need this. Oh, I'm learning a lot today about Node and deployment. I don't think I've ever had to do this before. Applying action, delete process ID on app hello. Okay. And then save. Okay, saving current process list. PM2 is not managing any process, skipping save. Okay. Then start yours again. PM2 restart Express server. Okay. And then, so we already got the list. We know that because it printed out the little table. So now we'll see if this returns our API. Yes, I mean, I know it did. It did. Yep. We did it. Okay. This also explains why deleting DigitalOcean's files didn't change anything. The old node process, this is such good information. I'm glad I'm learning this. The old node process was already loaded into memory and managed by a completely separate PM2 daemon. And it explains that ominous sentence on the DigitalOcean welcome page about running PM2 commands as the Node.js user. There were two PM2 environments running on the same machine. Nice. Okay, so here's the thing. I don't regret setting up my own user because I'm learning so much. I'm learning so much. Yeah. Okay, you now understand several things you'd miss if you just accepted the one-click default. PM2 is per user, so the DigitalOcean demo process could exist separately from yours. A Node app can be online in PM2 but still fail repeatedly if its port is already occupied. Nginx, PM2, Node, file system ownership, and your login user are all separate concerns. Curl localhost port 3000 is the cleanest way to verify your app itself before involving Nginx or DNS. Absolutely. Although we know our DNS is working as propagated. Propagated. That's the word that I've been searching for. Propagated. And the most important part in that screenshot, your endpoint is now actually returning the Instagram JSON from the production node process. That's a real milestone. The whatever this is, 74 restart count is just historical from the earlier port conflict. It doesn't mean it's currently failing. The status is online and the successful curl confirms it. So creating your own user, your own pseudo user made this setup slightly more involved, but it also turned the deployment into something you actually understand instead of a magic DigitalOcean appliance. And I will absolutely, this is all now part of the historical record of this transcript of this live stream. And I will absolutely, once I transcribe this, use Codex to write documentation for us. So you know what I might do? Let's keep going. I don't know how long it's going to take to finish the SSL and to see everything, but maybe we'll do the GitHub action quickly next weekend. Yeah, we'll just see how it goes. We'll see what happens next. Okay. So I think what we need to do next is the SSL. We have to install an SSL certificate on api.practicelayouts.com, which is this right here. Let's encrypt. But before we do that, I want to look at the port 80 and the port 443 files. This is it's much less, it's a lot less involved. In fact, Let's Encrypt is probably going to take care of most of the work for us. because we don't have to do a redirect. It's not like when we installed practice layouts or you install a root domain where you have to choose what your website sits on. Does it sit on the root domain or does it sit on www.practicelayouts? I personally prefer a root domain for my websites, but if you're doing client work, let's say you're redesigning a website for a client, they may have an existing footprint in Google indexed as www. And when you redeploy that, or even if you're just doing a migration for somebody, you need to make sure that you are redeploying and resetting up www to maintain that SEO juice, that the authority, the SEO authority in Google or Bing or wherever it's indexed. Well, hopefully it's indexed everywhere. So if you get a client site and you even just do a migration and they've been living on www for the last 5 years, please do not migrate them to a root domain, because that's just going to destroy them in search engine optimization. You also need to make sure that if they are on www, that you are setting up a redirect from the root domain to www. So what's the best example of this? So we know about practicelayouts.com, HTTPS practicelayouts.com. So what happens if I do HTTPS www.practicelayouts.com? I have a redirect set up in the Apache host file that automatically does that redirect. You also need to redirect from HTTP to HTTPS. So what if we do HTTP www.practicelayouts.com? It automatically redirects to HTTPS practicelayouts.com. All of that has to happen at the server level. Don't put it in like an HT access file, because it won't even get past that part of the server into the server unless you're doing all of those things in the host file. So that's Apache though. And we're not on Apache for this. We're on Nginx. So it's the same concept, but it's a little bit different. So I think what we can do next, well, let's actually get over to that part of the servers, which I think is CD. Is it etc? CD, let's go here. CD, etc. No, okay. So how do we get over to the sites enabled? Okay, great. Can you please point me towards the Nginx sites? I think it's sites available, so I can see the port 80 and port 443 files. Oh, I spelled Nginx wrong. CD etc. See, why couldn't I? Oh, because CD etc. There it is. Nginx sites available. CD Nginx sites available. So, oh, wait a second. There we go. Okay, now look inside here. And it's defaults. So this is very similar to what we've done in past deployments. We're just going to install Certbot and then Let's Encrypt. So, and I think Certbot and Let's Encrypt are going to take care of most of this for us, but we'll look and see if there's something we need to do. So we're in the correct directory. Let's check and make sure that Certbot is installed. I think it is. Oh, it isn't. So sudo apt install certbot. Yes. We need Let's Encrypt in order to install HTTPS. So, okay. Certbot is not installed, so I'm installing it now. Once Certbot is installed, make sure that the Nginx plugin is there too. Okay, so we'll run this next. We're repeating ourselves a little bit, but that's okay. Okay. And then we'll check the Certbot version. So now we have Certbot. Good. Before you run Certbot, I'd first make sure your port 80 Nginx config for api.practicelayouts.com is working and that sudo nginx t passes. Then Certbot can do the HTTPS wiring for you with this. Okay. So do I just run this? Let's take a picture and see if this is what it wanted me to do. So it'll be so amazing to get this all documented so we can make more Node apps. Like TypeScript, right? We could start doing more stuff with TypeScript. Looks good. Certbot is installed. Your Nginx config is syntactically valid. Next, before actually running Certbot, make sure your port 80 server block for api.practicelayouts.com is already pointing to your Express app on localhost 3000. So open the active config. You want a server block that includes the domain and proxies to Node. Once that is in place, run these things. Well, let's take a look and see what it says. So we'll take a picture like that, and we'll take a picture like that. We'll make sure. And then if we have to add a server block, it'll tell us what to add. Okay, this is exactly the file we needed to see. Right now, the important part is that DigitalOcean already has the reverse proxy configured correctly. That already points Nginx at your Express app. And I think that's because we put the Express app in the HTML directory. They configured all of this for us. The main thing I'd change right now is the server name hello node to server name api.practicelayouts.com. So we can make that change. That makes sense. You can also remove the DigitalOcean specific static file bits. So even this root, they aren't needed for your API. Okay. So here's server name hello node. So we'll come up here. And it said to delete root, this index, and this location. the location asset. So this is like a full block it's saying to do. Let's just confirm we deleted the right stuff because it's not saved until we exit and save. So it's not lost yet. Does this look right? Yep, that part, the part shown looks right. You've got the important pieces, the server name and the location that correctly tells Nginx that api.practicelayouts.com connects to localhost 3000 to your Node Express app. The one thing I can't see in this screenshot is the very top of the server block. Make sure you still have, yeah, we didn't change any of that. We do. If those listen 80 lines are still above what's visible here, you're good. The upgrade connection headers are not really necessary for this Instagram API since you're not using WebSockets, but they won't hurt anything. You can leave them there for now. Save the file, then run this. Okay, so to save the file, Control X, yes, enter. So now those things are actually deleted. You could delete things in Nano and then exit and not save what you deleted. So just an FYI. Okay, so let's run this again. Yep, so that passed. And then system reload Nginx. We've made a lot of changes, so this makes sense. Okay. And then test. We're gonna, if that gives you JSON, you're ready for Certbot. Here goes nothing. Yep, it gave us JSON. Success. Okay, so what was the thing that it said to do right here? Here's what we need to run to install HTTPS on this domain. Okay, I'm going to enter my actual email. So if there's ever a problem, I should get an email. Please read the terms of service. Do you agree? Yes. Would you be willing once your first certificate is successfully issued? Sure. Yes, whatever you need. Okay, so it says here, successfully received certificate. This is where it's saved. Expires November 21st, but it automatically installs a renewal. So there's a timer set to check for a renewal. We'll see if we can find that. And it even says here, Certbot has a scheduled task to automatically renew this certificate in the background, and that's about every 90 days or so. Deploying certificate, successfully deployed certificate for api.practicelayouts.com. Congratulations, you have successfully enabled HTTPS. So we should be able to see that in the browser now. So we should be able to see. So I'm just going to type in, we're going to find out now if HTTP redirects to HTTPS. Practicelayouts.com, and it was Instagram/images. Whoops, /images. You guys, we did it. We did it. And so, and then if we just go to the root, this is the full Oh, and you know what else we need to do is we need to set up caching inside our Express app. You know what I think I'll do? Because we're getting close here. I know I made a big deal about us staying till it was all done, but I think that I will do a live this week. I don't know what day yet. I think I'll do a live this week because we need to set up caching. The other thing that we talked about yesterday with GPT is caching the feed. So every time somebody goes to this, we're not actually hitting Instagram. We're caching every 15 or 30 minutes. I actually think we could cache every hour because I literally haven't posted a photo on Instagram since May. And this is also incentive to start posting more so I have a nice feed wherever I add this feed. Okay, that's not the point, Angela. So I think I'll go live this week. We'll figure out the caching for the feed and we'll also create the GitHub action then. And we'll make sure that we can actually get this up and running someplace. So let's do another Instagram API Express app related live stream this week. I don't want to do it next weekend because next weekend I want to get back to the build that we're doing. But I think we could let's do another stream this week and kind of round this out. Yeah. But this is success. This is absolutely success. So now I really want to test this redirect now. So let's say I go to HTTP API dot practice layouts.com / Instagram. And it redirected. We don't have to do anything. It even did the redirect for us. Beautiful. So let's let ChatGPT know. Certbot installed. So it's let's encrypt is installed, and I tested the HTTP to HTTP redirect, and that's working too. Nice. So that means the public routing layer is basically done for APIPracticeLayouts.com, Nginx, HTTPS, localhost 3000, Express, Instagram. And because the HTTP to HTTPS redirect works, Certbot, Nginx are doing what they should. At this point, I'd verify just 2 production behaviors. Okay. And then hit that same endpoint from the actual front end origin in the browser to confirm your CORS allow list behaves correctly. Yeah, we'll do this. That's another good point. We'll check the CORS allow list. We'll do that this week as well. So what are the 3 things that we need to do? Let's write this down. To do. So we need to set up caching. We need to set up caching in the Express app. We need to create the GitHub action to deploy. And what did this say? Test the CORS allow list. Test the CORS allow list. So I think that these are the 3 main things that we need to do this week. So I think this would be an excellent 3rd stream to close the loop on this project. And I'm thinking Wednesday. Yeah, I'm thinking Wednesday. is a good day to do this. So it'd probably be like Wednesday at noon. Yeah. We can round this out. Yeah, so it says here, after that, the remaining deployment housekeeping is mostly PM2 persistence across reboot and your GitHub action deployment flow. So let's copy this in here. This feels like a thing that we need to keep an eye on. So we'll save this in here as a little to-do list. Yeah. Okay. I like it. Should we got time. We got a few minutes here left. So I think we're done here too. So let's log off the server. Just gonna log out. Clear. Log out. Log out. There we go. This is leftover. Here's our, I will make sure that I get documentation for everything that we just did, plus the GitHub action. I will make sure that we get that. Put this here. I don't think we don't need this anymore. We can sign out of that. Let's tie up all our loose ends. We don't need this anymore. All of this is good to go. I think that's it. You guys, we did it. Let's confirm that this is working in Postman. So here's our Instagram. There it is. Nice. I mean, this is, I know I've said this a million times. This is something I've just wanted to do for such a long time. Go ahead and save this. Such a long time. And honestly, I need a lot more practice. I mean, I really enjoy working with data, so I need more practice doing stuff on Express, being able to build my own endpoints. That just makes, in my mind, it makes perfect sense. Here's, you know what else I want to do? Because I will often, let's ask ChatGPT if this is a good strategy, because I think that it is. Okay. Okay. Strategy question. Since I often build static JSON files, like for all of my YouTube projects, I don't see the point in a database. I just don't. Database. When I can just maintain JSON. Can I put a static JSON file in my Express server project, build an endpoint, and get the benefit of a CORS policy and rate limiting. This just makes perfect sense to me. If anybody's going to point out the flaws in this, it's going to be ChatGPT. Yes, that's a perfectly reasonable pattern, especially for data that is effectively read-only and regenerated periodically. You can absolutely keep something like youtube.json inside the Express project and expose it through an endpoint such as get YouTube. So here's what ChatGPT is talking about. ChatGPT is actually talking about something else that we did this week. Let me pull this up. We have a few minutes here. So when I was working on the YouTube transcript database, we, as well, ChatGPT wrote a Python script for me and we got an API key from YouTube, and we, because it's all public, scraped all of my live streams. And now I have a JSON file. We built a JSON file with all of my live stream information, the description, the thumbnail URL, the URL to the stream, the start time, the start end, when it was actually published, things like that. And I did this specifically because I needed to compare the videos that I had locally compared to what was actually published, and this was how I did it. So this Python script was really useful. But now I look at this and I'm like, okay, I feel like I should be able to use this someplace. I should be able to use this data someplace. So I have lots of ideas. And if I just take this, I don't feel like I need to constantly be connected to YouTube because I have this Python script. I only stream 2 or 3 days a week, and I can just, when I need to update this file, I can just run my Python script and maintain a static JSON file, and I don't need to constantly be connected to YouTube. I hope that doesn't sound backwards, but it just feels very simple to me. So I've got this JSON file now of all of my live stream content. I could get it for my shorts, I could get it for my longs, I could get it for everything. And I feel like that would be really useful, and I could use that someplace else. So this is what ChatGPT is talking about. Yeah. This was my very first live stream back on August 11th, 2024. So there's that. Okay. I don't think we need this anymore. And we can go ahead and save this. So we'll save our to-do list. To-do list after deployment. Okay. Well, I guess that's it. Let's see what else it says here. And for your use case, there are real advantages over introducing a database just because APIs use databases. The data is simple. You already have a generation pipeline. It's mostly read only. Deployment is easy. Versioning the JSON with the app is easy. No database server, migration, schema management, or connection layer. Express gives you one consistent URL service for all of it. And any manipulation or massaging that I need to do to the data, I could do that all within Express very easily. I'd probably structure it something like this. Then you can decide whether, okay, blah, blah, blah. The whole caveat is file size and query complexity. If that JSON eventually becomes hundreds of megabytes, gets written constantly, or you need arbitrary filtering search across large data sets, then a database starts earning its keep. But a few hundred YouTube records, metadata, project mappings, transcript, indexes, etc., JSON behind Express is completely viable. It's just a good way to get started for now until it gets much bigger. And yes, one other benefit, your front end no longer has to know where the JSON physically lives. Today, it could be a static file. Later, you could move the exact same endpoint to SQLite or Postgres without changing the front end contract. So, okay. Well, there's our answer. One moment. We're going to wrap this up. All right. Thank you for being patient in the chat. Let's see what's going on here. Michael's saying he's having a really bad experience today with the stream. The video stopped several times. Hopefully you got that figured out. Sorry about that, Michael. I don't think I was experiencing any problems on my end. Welcome to anybody new who is in the chat. HBKF says, do you know about blockchain technology, Ethereum blockchain? I don't. And I have another hi, ma'am. Hello, welcome. Thank you to everybody who came to hang out in the chat. I appreciate it. Here. There we go. Do me a favor. If you haven't yet, would you be so kind as to like the video, subscribe if you're new here. Helps the algorithm, helps get this pushed out to more people who might be interested in this type of content. And just a reminder that I go live on LinkedIn, noon, Central Standard Time. So come on over and hang out this Thursday at noon. I think I'm doing something WordPress related, but I'm not sure yet. They definitely tend to be a little more AI related. It's about an hour long. Think of it as like a presentation project demo type thing, but it's super fun. So if you can come hang out, that would be amazing. I would appreciate it. My Instagram, my LinkedIn, my GitHub, everything is linked down below. If you would like to connect, go ahead. Everybody, what do we think? This was amazing. I am so excited. We made an Express server. We have our custom Instagram API, and we have deployed it onto our very own domain name. I hope that this is helpful to you. I hope that you find this interesting. I absolutely love it. Here's the thing about DevOps. There is no point in doing this work if you can't deploy it and see your work in the browser. For me, it's the browser, right? Maybe for you, it's an app. For me, it's the browser with the domain name properly configured, properly encrypted, doing the correct redirect things. Little bit of work on the server to do updates, disable root user, set up a sudo user. That stuff is just so important. And even though I kind of got ahead of myself and took steps that probably weren't recommended by just jumping in and creating the sudo user, look what we learned about the processes and starting and stopping the server. That stuff I did not know how to do before today. So Malik Robinson says, good work. Thank you. Thank you so much. Well, everybody, have a great rest of your day wherever you are. I think that I will be back on Wednesday this week at noon, and we will do these final things to get this Express server buttoned up. Okay? Have a great rest of your day, and I will see you in my next one. Bye-bye.